Hello, this is Anna Patterson.
And Mathilde.wmv.
Today we will be discussing the Judith Slaying Holofernes series by Artemisia Gentileschi.
Yes, these pieces come in a series of 3, and we will be also examining a 4th piece which we believe to be a trial at this first image, and we will talk about that a little later, the similarities, the differences, etc. Now, this series starts off with this image here, Judith Slaying Holofernes. Now, Judith was a widow from Bethulia,
A Jewish town currently in that book besieged by the forces of the Assyrian king Nebuchadnezzar.
And under him was Holofernes. He was besieging the town, and Judith didn't want to stand for it. What she ended up doing was she made a false report to his army and was invited then to dinner with him.
Yes, and he got roaring drunk. Not that Judith tried very hard to stop him.
Right, and after his drunken stupor, she began to seduce him in hopes that she could catch him at a weak moment and slay him. We see her doing just that. She's taking her 2 blows and cutting his own head off with his sword, actually. We see the maid helping her, though in the story she was waiting outside the tent. And moving on to the next piece now.
This piece is, as you can see, not as well done.
It's well done, but definitely less dramatic. This is the piece we were talking about as a trial. And now there are some subtle differences. We can first notice that Judith's dress is a different color.
Yes, it's a deep blue as opposed to the rather warm yellow of the previous one.
Which wouldn't seem like such a big deal, but I feel that it makes the overall painting much cooler. And the previous was so hot with intense just drama. And we don't get that so much here. The lighting isn't so warm, and also some technical problems that we're noticing here.
Yes, you can see the composition is a tad stunted.
Right, the compositioning is much more complete. With the other piece, we can see the rest of Holofernes' body, and there's a strange happening with the sword at the end of the bed.
Yeah, when I first saw this version of the painting, I thought that was just a fold in the sheet.
Right, it looks very incomplete, translucent, and I feel this is probably a this is what leads me to believe this is a trial piece. She probably was not satisfied with it and didn't care really to finish, and that should explain the error with the sword. And
their expressions are much less intense.
Right,
mask-like in comparison.
Indeed, I feel the same way. The second piece is definitely much more intense with the drama. And now we are looking at the second piece in the known series, and this is Judith and her maidservant with the head of Holofernes. It's very much in the style of Caravaggio, just as all the others.
Yes, the very dramatic Tenebroso.
Yes. We see the light source in this piece, the candle, which Judith is putting her hand up to. The light is dramatic, just as any carravaggista, as you will. The red cloth in the back, also reminiscent of Caravaggio, whom was her major inspiration, as well as her father.
Yes, her father was a Caravaggisti, though he was nowhere near as talented as his daughter.
Right. And they dealt with some of the same imagery, in fact, but Judith by far surpasses her father in every way. Artemisia, I'm sorry. Surpasses her father in every way. I feel like now it's safe to mention, now that we're on the subject of her father, a little bit of her past, which was quite a struggle.
Yes, she was assaulted and raped by one of her father's students.
Yes. Someone he worked very closely with, and he barged into the studio while she was painting and violently assaulted her. And this went to trial. He was found guilty, but got off with pretty much a slap on the wrist.
It would be seen as pretty much a travesty and miscarriage of justice today.
Yes, much lighter in that respect. He was to marry her, but he would not have it. Artemisia's father wanted him to, but he said absolutely not.
Much to Artemisia's relief.
Yes, I'm sure. But it did bring quite a bit of dishonor on her family's name, which we some people feel might be the motive behind some of these paintings.
Not so much the dishonor as the emotions and struggles that she herself was going through as a victim.
Her anger and frustration towards what had happened to her. It is not for certain that this is her motive behind the paintings, because she does deal with other subjects, and this idea of feminine power is actually commonly it's a common misconception that it's something she dealt with all the time, but it's actually very rare in her pieces that she deals with this. Moving on to the final image, we see Judith and her maidservant, again with the head of Holofernes, but this time in a basket.
Yes, as you can see, she is again in a different outfit. How many outfits did she bring?
Exactly? I don't know. She must have really not wanted to get blood on her.
Yes, you can see them glancing over their shoulders, perhaps at a sound that they've heard. Right. They would, of course, be very nervous about being caught.
Yes. It is at this point that they are bringing the head of Holofernes back to Bethulia, and it is then that the Bethulian soldiers will use the head to drive away the remaining forces of Holofernes, and who have no right to be there now that their leader is dead. I mean, just look at that head. I mean, you can really see that it's dead.
It's a little small, but it's definitely dead.
But the skin, it's really a testament to how talented Artemisia was as a painter. Very beautifully done, and a dramatic series. Very reminiscent of Caravaggio, very beautiful, absolutely stunning.
In fact, I think Artemisia handled this theme better than Caravaggio.
Indeed, there is a piece that Caravaggio has dealt with this theme, and compositionally, the drama, it's much more intense, very well done.